Kuzambo, welcome to the Samdrup Jongkhar Initiative channel on YouTube. We are in conversation with Dr. Erik Landry, and Dr. Landry has been with us for the last 3 months, the first 3 months of 2015. And Dr. Landry, welcome to the Samdrup Jongkhar Initiative. Give us an introduction about yourself, please.
Thank you for this invitation. Basically, I came here to SJ or Samdrup Jongkhar to help in any way I can with seed production and asparagus cultivation here in the region. And basically, my expertise is I have a master's in asparagus production and then a PhD in plant breeding from the University of Washington State University.
Yes. And Doctor, tell us about where you studied and where you come from.
Basically, I was born in California, raised in Connecticut. I got interested in agriculture because in the United States, you go to the grocery store and all the food comes in prepackaged containers, basically, or boxes. And the question came to my mind is where does your food come from? You know, in Connecticut, we don't really produce much food, and that was my interest. So I went to the University of Guelph in Canada to study asparagus, and I just kept going from there. And I came back to the United States, Washington State University, to work on fava beans, which are a legume.
Fava beans.
Yeah.
F-A-B-A.
Yeah, F-A-B-A.
F-A-B-A, fava beans. So, Dr. Landry, take us through this idea of, how seed saving, seed production, seed sovereignty, as people now talk about it, works in the overall context and in the overall framework of what we call sustainable agriculture.
Yeah, I mean, if anyone really wants to know and hear beautiful words, you can look up Vandana Shiva. She's really at the forefront of this discussion. But for me, at my scale, doing what I can do, I started a small business called Backyard Seed Savers. I don't have a lot of land, but everywhere I've been, I've always been a gardener, and saving seeds is what has always been important for me, because something like 90% of the crop biodiversity has been lost in the past 100 years. And the main reason for that is plant breeders, which is what I wanted to be. The whole point of plant breeding is to select the best. And the whole thing about biodiversity is that it's diversity. There's some good things, some bad things, but in as a whole, it complements one another, right?
Mm-hmm.
So instead of planting one tree in the forest, you look around here and there's maybe hundreds of, maybe even thousands of different kinds of trees. And not everyone is good for timber or for fruit production, but as a whole, you can get a lot of different benefits from it. And I look at the same seeds, agricultural seeds, the same way. So with the Backyard Seed Savers, my idea is that small-scale producers can take control of the crop diversity, right? They can play a role. It's not just for the multinationals, it's not just for the government, but actual individuals, whether they be gardeners or whether they be farmers. And here in this area, they would be considered gardeners in the U.S. because in the U.S. if you're not farming 500 acres or 1,000 acres, you're not really considered a farmer.
Mm-hmm.
Here it's 2 to 5 acres.
Mm-hmm.
That's the average size of the farm. So that scale, it's difficult to save seeds on, but by working together, we can do it.
So it all starts from saving your seeds.
Yeah, I mean, here a lot of people stop saving their seeds, just like in the U.S., because of these improved varieties. What the extension people told them, is you'll get increased yields if you stop saving your traditional land races and start taking these free seeds essentially. Now they're starting to cost a little bit more, and so farmers are making having second thoughts. They may have seen some yield increases, but maybe they lost some of that diversity.
So besides diversity, being resourceful so that you can cut on costs because you don't have to buy a seed. What are the advantages of producing your own seeds?
From one thing I noticed just in my experiences seed saving is if I buy a packet of seeds and I sow it, I may get 90% germination, and I may not. I'm not sure why. Could be because it's mass produced, and while the seed germination may be high on a piece of paper, it's not high once you plant it, direct seed it in the soil. So I find that there's that issue. When I save my own seeds, if I do it right, I get 90+% germination, and they're all vigorous, right? It's because I'm harvesting the seed when it's fully ripe, right? Whereas in a commercial production, whereas large scale, plants are asynchronous, so they flower over a period of time. That means seeds mature over a period of time, so they have to choose what they call optimum time to harvest. But the problem with the optimum time to harvest is there's some seeds that are ripe or shattering, so they're falling on the ground. And then there's other seeds that are not fully mature, and sometimes, good chunk of the times, you're going to be getting seeds in your seed that are not fully mature. So that was one big thing. Also, it's for me, I really have a interest in that diversity that comes out of something. It's almost like a gift or a surprise every year. While you're not gonna, it's not like a hybrid where it's all the same, all looks beautiful. Some of it's not gonna look beautiful, but that's the whole point, is to steward this diversity over time, and that's what a land race is. That's like the definition of a land race.
So in the course of now talking about, we are hearing words like land races, diversity, hybrid. What about local seeds coming from the local area, made in that area for that area? What are the benefits of producing your own seeds in that area where you are farming yourself,
Right.
rather than getting seed that is produced outside in a different place?
Yeah. I mean, we could talk for an hour about, and again, like if anyone really wants to get into the details, look at Vandana Shiva. And there's a cultural significance here, right? We can all speak the same language, but we don't, right? Even here, you have Sharshab,
Mhm.
Hindu,
Yes.
Nepali,
Yes.
Zonk.
Yes.
We can go on about the different dialects and the different languages that are just spoken here, and this is a very diverse place. You could go around the world and you can say the same thing. Now we can all, go monoculture and plant all the same thing and all speak the same language and all act the same and all wear the same clothes. But is that really why we're here, right? So I think for me, that's how I look at it. Land races are just manifestations of our heritage, right? Where my grandfather's grandfather grew this, and we've been developing because it tastes good. You think the great example is this Kumti rice,
Yes.
and I'd butcher the story if I told it, but it's basically something that's been passed down, and selected for flavor, not yield. right? All the improved varieties are high yielding. Now, they also might taste good, but a lot of times the traditional varieties or land races were selected for other things other than economic, right? Traits. And that as a farmer, you have control. You say, well, I don't really, yield's not that, I'm not. Do I need 10% more yield, and I sacrifice 50% of the flavor, or do I sacrifice 10% of the yield and gain 50% in flavor? If I'm consuming it, which a lot of farmers around here are, and gardeners and whatever around the world, when you're actually consuming something, do you want to be consuming something that's rich and flavorful and nutritious, or do you just want to produce as much as you can? And if you're consuming it, then no, I think most people would say that they want to enjoy the fruits of their labor.
You also mentioned the word vigor. The plant vigor.
Yeah.
So if it is seed from the local area itself, how does it affect plant vigor and health, look, feel, whatever you call it?
Yeah, again, there's a lot of factors there. The basic idea is if you're growing seeds in your local environment, and so some plants, like we were having a problem here with saving seeds from cabbage, cauliflower, and broccoli. The problems with these is that they were selected in or domesticated in Europe, northwestern Europe, like England and stuff like that. So they're not really adapted to a monsoon kind of climate like we have here, and farmers want to save seeds because these cabbage, broccoli, and cauliflower have become major cash crops for farmers here in the winter season, because they grow great here, but when they start to flower, it starts to rain. So when it starts to rain, these are dry-seeded crops, and dry-seeded crops do not like to be rained on when they're flowering and fruiting and drying down. And that's when you get diseases coming in. So plants there's benefits and drawbacks to locally produced seeds. If where I was from in Washington, we have a dry climate in the summertime, and cereals grow great, right? Like I can get the best quality seeds or any place I've been. But let's say I try to grow eggplant. I can't even get that. I can't even get seeds from that. Okay. Switch it around to Bhutan. I can get probably the best quality eggplant seeds if I was growing eggplant in Bhutan. But if I was growing like wheat or barley, I could probably still get good quality seeds if I plant it at the right time. But cabbage, cauliflower, and broccoli, unless you can get it to flower early and dry down before the monsoon, there is an issue. Now, I think we can work, there can be some working with that, but it's going to take practice, and it's going to take trial and error from farmers themselves. But once they know that if it's flowering during the monsoon, that's going to be a problem. So you're going to have to continue to plant, try to save seeds from what you can, and what you'll see actually, and this is like evolution or whatever you want to call it, plant breeding. You may start off with low quality seed, but over time, the idea is if there's genetic variation there, which I believe there is, you continue to save the seed that you have, and over time, it's going to take some time. It's going to take an investment. It's going to take patience, just like with everything. But over time, what you'll find is that variety or population, whatever you want to call it, will become more adapted to that region, right? You're going to have to mess around with planting dates. You might have to maybe put a cover over it if it's raining. There's things that you can do to mitigate some of these environmental differences between the area of domestication and your current environment. But there's ways to do that, right? And it just really depends on how patient you are, right? How aware you are of these changes over time, right?
So cabbages, cauliflowers, and broccoli, tough guys to save seeds from.
Onions, carrots. These are the crops that farmers around here want to save seeds from. They can save seeds from everything else. Peanuts, no problem. Plenty of diversity there. They've been saving seeds for, probably quite a long time. They can do. Farmers, we know this. We know this. Farmers can save seeds. They are saving seeds. But there's vegetables like the ones that I just mentioned are difficult because they flower, and they're dry-seeded crops, and they flower during the monsoon.
Dry seeded crops flowering in the monsoon, not a good idea.
Not a good idea. But, if you can select for early flowering ones, or if you can put up a cover where you're keeping the rain off, keeping it dry when it's flowering, there's ways to get around that.
So let's go back now from, saving seed. Now, what are you looking at when you're, say, for example, now you were successful in, keeping the plant flowering early in a dry condition, or for that matter, any vegetable or any, seed that you were going to harvest. What are the principles behind seed saving?
Yeah. So we all, like I said before, we all have our what we call in plant breeding an idiotype. An idiotype is just what we want, what our goal is. Let's say we want a carrot. Let's say we want a carrot that's doesn't have any forks in it. It's a beautiful color, orange color. Tastes great, stores well. We have all these traits that we're looking for. And if it doesn't fit that ideal, then maybe we should consider not saving seeds from it. Mm-hmm. Right? But let's say it's tasty, it fits all, it grows well every year. Well, save seeds from it, and over time, as long as the trait's heritable, which some traits are not heritable, so like yield is always hard to breed for because it's of a low heritability. But other things like color, a lot of visual traits, those can be selected for.
So you're basically looking for the best plant.
You're looking for the best plants. So that's another thing you got to think of. It's not just, you don't just save seeds from one plant. Because a lot of times with these crops, what will happen is if you just save, like let's say it was a corn plant or a cabbage plant or whatever it was, you're saving just seeds from one plant, what you'll see is this drop down called inbreeding depression. Mm. Right? It's the same thing in humans or animals that you see in plants. Now, other crops like beans, you won't really see that inbreeding depression because they're self-pollinating, right? But anything that's outcrossing or cross-pollinated, you're gonna see inbreeding depression if you're just saving seeds from only a few plants. So it's always good to save seeds from the best plants. The more the better. But of course, if you're saving seeds from all your plants, or you're just letting your seeds, letting your plants disseminate their own seeds, you can also see a decrease or a decline in what you're looking for. Like let's say it was a size of tomato. If there's genetic diversity there, most likely what you'll see and what I've seen here is that the tomato size decreases, and that's not always desirable. So it's good to actually be a steward of your genetic diversity, right? Of your crops. Select the best plants.
So if it's tomatoes, what are we going for? The best plants?
That's really up to the farmer, you know.
The best plants?
But yeah, the best plants and the best fruits from those best plants.
Okay, so you need to now just take the level higher, right? The best plants, and from the best plants, the best fruits.
Yeah. So usually that means really it's the most mature, right? Because really what you're looking for when you're selecting the best fruits from the best plants is the best seeds, right? So when you're selecting the best seeds, the plants that come from those seeds are going to be the most vigorous, right? So really what you're looking for is to maximize the genetic potential, right? By giving it giving it a good environment. It's kind of like a child, right? You're nurturing this organism until maturity, essentially, right? And once it's mature, it'll nourish you. Right? That's all life, right? Essentially.